January 26, 2023. One more round of testing for the K10 Ascender. Last round of testing on this guy, and then everything's going to go back to normal with this truck. This is the most important round. This is the brushless round. So we stepped up our motor on this guy a little bit and also changed out a bunch of other things on the truck. I gave my niece her tracks back. So her tracks are currently installed back on her TRS-4 Sport Tracks, and she is extremely happy about that. Big smile on her face. And we can no longer call the K10 Ascender the K10 Sport Tracks. It is now the K10 Track Edition. So I took the tracks and axles off of my TRX-4 Bronco, the orange Sunset Bronco, and stripped the tracks off of that guy. Locking differentials on that Bronco, so I had to route the cables up out of the way and leave them in the lock position and keep our fingers crossed that they're going to stay in the lock position. And then I took the brushless motor out of my Team Losi SCTE 3.0. which is a Traxxas / VXL Valenian system, VXL 3S. Excuse me for setting the body down. And that was a tight fit. That was a wedge fit getting that thing in here. Also did some custom modifications to the battery tray as well, so we could fit a stick pack in here sideways. We'll take a look at that here in a second. Moving on to the motor and ESC. VXL Valenian 3S system is what we got going on here. Once again, this is out of my Team Losi SCTE 3.0. Started out its life with in my WL Toys 10428 hydroplane project. I got this motor and ESC back in 2016. The ESC has since been replaced by Traxxas, but the motor is still the same. ESC, tough to get in here. Removed our stock ESC off its factory location, which is roughly where this one is sitting. And then I used a ESC mount that came with this combination, this little brushless combo. I'm not too sure if they still include it, but when I originally bought this brushless combo, it came with this little ESC mounting plate, and I believe that's for a Traxxas Rustler. And that sat in here pretty darn close to where our stock ESC was located. So I've got one of our ESC plates here going through our stock factory location down there on the frame rail. And the other one, the screw was just a little bit off. It was kind of in between these holes, and I wasn't able to drill through with the gusseting that's on the back. I couldn't get a clean shot to come up through, so I had to use a zip tie or nylon strap to go down through the ESC, through that plastic tray, around the bottom of the frame, and back up through the shock tower, which pulls our ESC down and backwards, and holding that into position. Very tight fit between our ESC and our spur gear shaft. It's not touching. It's not going to hit, but it's tight. It's very close. And very tight fit between the top of the body and our hot racing electric fan that's sitting on top of the ESC as well. Now, another little issue here that we had with installing this motor, other than that it's a wedge fit, extreme wedge fit putting this thing in here. It's like putting a Hemi in a smart car. It's a very tight fit getting this guy in here. Another problem was reversing the rotation on the motor. After adding our portal axles to this vehicle, essentially we reversed the rotation, or we needed a reverse rotation to get everything spinning in the right direction. So on a regular brush motor, it's easy to do. It's just a matter of swapping your positive and negative wires around on the motor. Brushless motor, it's kind of the same thing. It's just a matter of swapping around two wires on your ESC. It doesn't matter which two you swap around, just as long as you swap two out. And then a matter of going back into the ESC, resetting it, and resetting your full forward motion and your full reverse motion. That way you're getting full forward and full reverse out of your ESC. Now, some ESCs are programmable. They do have programmable little program cards for them. And you can go into it and reverse the settings for the throttle right on the ESC. If you can do that with your ESC, then hey, more power to you. That is actually the best way to go. But if you can't, the next choice is to swap out two motor wires. And I just swapped out our two outside wires. We got a blue wire, a yellow wire, and a white wire. So I just swapped the blue and the white around, and then reprogrammed our ESC, which is just a matter of holding down that button for a couple seconds. Thing starts flashing red, you go full throttle. It flashes red twice, you go full reverse. Flashes red once, you let off, everything's green, and you're all good to go. So we got this guy all reverse rotated and resynced back up, so we're good to go with our full throttle forward and full throttle reverse. Moving on to our gearing. Stepped it up on our pinion gear one more time, just because we're going brushless. And man, the gear ratio is so low on this vehicle's transmission. Once again, Vaterra geared their transmission extremely low to compensate for the extremely high or tall ring and pinion gear. Vaterra had put a very small ring and pinion gear into their stock axle, and they did that so it would have more ground clearance on the axle. And then they had to compensate for it in the transmission. So when we put these Traxxas TRX4 portal axles on here, these guys have a huge ring and pinion compared to the Vaterras, which substantially lowered our gearing on the vehicle all the way around. We already had low transmission gears, and then we put a low rear end gear on here. So man, super low gearing on this vehicle, and we need to get it to the as high as we possibly can for this brushless motor. It still takes several rotations on our pinion gear to get this thing to go around one time, or to get the vehicle to even start moving. So I'm not too worried about that. I'm not expecting a lot of speed out of this thing either, maybe 10 miles an hour max. As far as wheel snapping torque, I'm not too sure what to expect in that area either. So we still have our 72 spur gear installed, and we stepped up our pinion gear from a 36 tooth in our previous video. We had a 27 turn motor in our previous video with a 36 tooth pinion gear, and we stepped it up to a 10 turn motor. So from a 27 turn motor down to a 10 turn motor, that's a huge jump, a gigantic jump in motors. And then we stepped up our pinion gear from a 36 to a 42. So currently, from our stock gearing, well, or the gearing that I had in here to begin with, we had 12 tooth pinion gear, 72 spur gear. We stepped it down 16 teeth on our spur gear, going from that 86 tooth spur gear down to our 70. And we stepped it up 30 teeth on our pinion gear, going from a 12 tooth all the way up to a 42. And that is a gigantic step once more. All right, so there we go. She's all in there. Wedge fit, once again, that is the largest pinion gear that you can possibly get in here. The motor will not go any further to the right. That is as far as it'll go. And I had to notch out the plate on the back of the motor, right back here, this little cover. I had to notch that out to tuck into the frame rail so we could get the motor over just a little bit more. That's pretty easy to do, just a matter of popping this little plate off and just cut a notch on the back. Same thing for rebuilding the motor. You got to pop this plate off and pull those 4 screws out. They're going around the bell housing. So there we go, or the end bell, I should say, not bell housing, but end bell. Get that guy put back in place. There we go. All right, moving on to our battery tray. Once again, battery tray was no longer available, so we had to modify. So we got our battery in here. It's held in there good. It's not going anywhere. It's got little supports on the sides, and it's good. We have a hair rubber band on here right now, holding our wires in check. 2 hair rubber bands linked together, just to hold that all together. We'll peel our battery out of here and take a peek at this little rigmarole that we got going on. There we go, battery removed, and I have got a couple pieces of foam wedged in here as well, just to elevate our battery up out of this groove, so we're not going to be putting any dents in our battery. And I used some self-adhering foam, a big foam block, and put it down on the base to raise it up, and another little wedgie up on top to get our battery above the edge of the tray there. All right, so these little brackets on the sides of the battery tray. Now these are hold down brackets, or bumper mounts actually, for the Vaterra K5 Blazer. We bought an aftermarket aluminum bumper for this vehicle, and it came with these fancy little brackets here, and we never put the bumper on there because I was able to raise up our stock bumper and tuck it back into the chassis. Excuse me for moving the camera around. I raised it up and brought it back in a little bit, increasing our approach angles, drastically increasing our approach angles. I did the same thing on this one. Raised it up and brought it back in a little bit. So we didn't use that bumper, and we had these bumper mounts left over. So basically we've got this long slot in it right here, and had another long corresponding slot on the other side. Had 2 of those brackets. Battery tray has a little slot in here on the bottom of it, right down here, which we can't see past the shift cable, but there's a little slot there. And that is for the Velcro hold down for the factory battery, or the factory battery location. So I slid these 2 little brackets right into those slots, which keeps these guys from walking around a little bit. Drilled 2 holes through the bottom of the battery tray. Used 2 M3s and 2 lock nuts to hold it in place. Once again, adhered this little piece of foam to it. Have our other piece of foam that goes on top of it. Ran our Velcro strap through these 2 holes at the bottom, and we're all set. She is locked in and good to go. I also put a couple of nylon straps or zip ties around this front edge of this bracket, going up to the shock tower to pull it forward and pull it into the shock tower so that they can't move backwards at all. So they're both locked into place right there and all good to go. And just like that, we got our battery reinstalled, velcroed back down, the little hair rubber bands back around the edge of the battery to hold our cables in check, so we're not going to have to worry about snow getting into those guys, and she is all good to go. All right, so our locking differential cables for our axles, that's another little problem. TRX4 Bronco axles does have locking differentials front and rear. And a little matter of what to do with those cables. So I basically just routed the cables up out of the way. So we're not going to be kinking them when we're compressing the suspension. They're in the lock position currently. And I've got them zip tied or nylon strapped up to this aluminum bracket in between the shock tower. So the front cable is coming off the differential right here, and it's looping up around the battery tray, underneath the battery tray or in between the battery tray, and back up to the chassis right there. Rear one, same thing, tied off right back here. And it's coming off the differential, which we can't see from this side. Coming off of the differential right down here. And looping right up to the chassis. This is a much easier loop back up to here. So no interruptions right back there. Keeping our fingers crossed that our differentials stay locked while we're out driving around. Basic same design with the K5 Blazer. Drivers holding on to one of the cables, other cables just routed up through the battery tray. And that one worked out okay for that last round. Everything stayed locked in and was good to go. All right, so there we go. That covers all our bases with the truck. We're going to take this guy and put it outside and get it acclimating, take our battery out of it, set the vehicle outside for a couple hours, probably at least 2 hours to cool everything down and make sure we're not going to get any sticking on the vehicle. We're going to grab the K5 Blazer, throw a 3S battery pack in that one. Exact same battery that we're running in this one, which is a Electron Pro 11.1 volt or 12.4 fully charged, 5200 milliamp, 5.2 amp, 50C discharge rate, 3S LiPo. Running the same one in that guy, and we'll take them down to the snow bowl and see what they're all about. Don't know what kind of punch to expect out of this thing. Making our approach up to the back of the dirt ramp. We were skying out the LOC10, the CTE 3.0 last year. Wide open. That's not bad. 46.2 spinning gear. It's getting deep. It's peppy. Not bad. VXL 3S. What a wicked little combination. We didn't know how the VXL was going to perform. Put that VXL on the Twin Hammers or a WL Toys 10428, and that's a totally different story. It's downright violent. Ian's running on 3S as well. To that brushed Team Brood Apocalypse 30 turn 540. It's definitely moving a lot better, isn't it?
Yeah, moving pretty quick there. Yeah.
Probably could have got away with that 36.2 spinning gear on there. He's still running a 31 tooth. I took the 36 tooth off of my vehicle last night. Had it on the Ascender briefly, and then bumped up to the 42.
That's a stock speed controller too.
Yeah, stock ESC, but you can handle that 30 turn motor without problem. I think you can go down to a 12 turn motor on that stock ESC on 2S. Not too sure on 3S, but a 30 turn should be no problem.
Wow, it's getting deep.
Yeah, it's deep. It's this is blizzard territory back here.
Yeah, it is.
That is for sure. Snow is getting deep at the snow bowl, and it's hard to see down here just because snow backdrops. It's just tough to get any kind of definition going on. Turn my lights on for a little bit more definition. That is deep snow, man. I thought I was going to catch you.
Yeah, I thought so too.
You're just blazing a trail. Doing pretty good, eh? Pull a tree branch.
Yeah, start to sink a little bit.
Thing rips, man. That is definitely cool. You have to try this with my Bronco. Mad carving with this thing. Don't know how long that battery's gonna last, and try not to go full pull for too long on this thing. Oh, getting buried. All power out. Downright impressive. Remember not to go full pull for too long just for your battery. You don't want to overheat it. Try to vary the power a little bit here and there. That's a steep drop. Oh, there you go. It's just plowing all the way down. It's gotten pretty deep back here, powdery. Let's see if I can follow you around to that same spot. Use the camera angles, everyone. You're wide open? Yeah. Oh. Now you are drag racing before my battery goes dead. Alright. 1, 2, 3, go. Oh, I shot fast. Keep going.
No problem.
It's definitely moving. Well, not, like I said, I didn't expect it to get any faster than 10 miles an hour. It might be doing 10.
That looks really cool. Coming
Maybe
through
12.
the tunnel there.
Yeah, it does. Sorry.
Oh, you're good.
Man, it blasted right up that snowbank. This one right here.
Took a few tries,
Oh. Soft spot. Oh, I'm digging.
yeah, you make it good.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, she ripped. That's impressive.
Yeah.
Car coming. Traffic. Ripping on up through that snow. Yeah, that thing boogies. I like it.
Yeah.
Definitely like it. I ruined the snow bowl by walking around in here. It's terrible that we're not going to be able to catch any of this good definition on camera. Got really air coming down that. A little bit of a dip in it going into it. Not enough speed to get into it.
Down, but no.
Now we can take the VXL out of your flash and put it in your sender for a minute.
Yeah.
Oh, buried.
Too deep.
Big boogies, man. Wow. Shut my lights off in between times so I'm not killing my battery. No problem running 3S through our lights because our lights are plugged into auxiliary 1 on the receiver, which is a Spectrum receiver. And whether it's on 2S or 3S, that Spectrum receiver only puts out 5.71 volts.
Yeah.
So we're okay with our LEDs running on 3S. Yeah, power through, eh?
Yeah, just chugged right on through. He's buried.
Ah, dug itself down. Pull my throttle down. Whoa, yeah, it's a deep spot, eh?
Yeah. I'm getting back out there. Yeah, well, nothing now.
Boating through that.
Didn't see the tracks.
Well, I exceeded the breakover angle. Stuffed it in there pretty good. 11 minutes in. Maybe 10 minutes with total filming time. Mirror's crooked, but what do you expect? Those Toyota mirrors don't like that Chevy. Oh, three-wheel motion. Oh, going over the edge. Driving through the camera.
Yeah, it's really plowing.
Well, it's because you got that extra weight on the front end with that 3S
true,
battery
right.
going right across the bridge right here. It's a lot of extra weight. Same with ours. Where the 3S is sitting, a lot of extra weight on the front end.
That looks so cool.
A mid-battery location like on the TRX4s would definitely be better in this situation.
Yeah.
That's for sure. Yeah, it's a good little screenshot. Try to get a better view of the hill over yonder. I love this thing with this VXL in there. It's I was gonna tear it all apart after this run, but I might leave it in there for a few. It handles it without a problem. It's actually telling me that it can handle more kV. We've got a 3500 kV motor in here right now, and it could probably handle easily 4600, maybe even 5200 or more. I'm not sure, but it's definitely handling this little setup without a problem with that gear ratio. Just powering through the powder. Oh, I tell you what, this truck is an animal now. It runs away. Oh, deep spot. Oh, it's digging. Saw it right through the snowbank. Oh, deep spot. Oh, saw it right through the snowbank. That was awesome. It jumped out of the snowbank. Oh, dig, baby. Get on up there. Oh, speaking of dig. Speaking of dig, I'm sure not too many people have actually thought about this, but because of the track diameter, the larger track on the back, smaller track on the front, no individual gearboxes in there, so you're still running off of whatever the differential gearing is. The front tracks spin more than the back. It takes the rear tracks longer to make one revolution than it does for the front. So technically, since the front tracks are smaller in outer diameter and circumference than the rear tracks, those take less time to make one revolution versus the back tracks. So technically speaking, front tracks are spinning a little bit faster than the rear, which is giving it a dig mode with that setup on there. And Traxxas probably did that on purpose just to give it a little aided traction, I suppose. Ultimately, if you wanted to even it out, you would need 4 sets of rear tracks on there in order to do that. Approaching the bank side, several inches of fresh powder on the ground. It's ripping in. Moving over towards the K10. What's up? Tag, you're it. Depth perception. I stopped it just in time before I drove up onto your track. Snowbound. It's like a lunar landscape. It's like crawling in a moon crater. Especially when you come out here at night, it's like you're crawling within a crater on the moon. Moon crater crawling is basically what it is. Trying to walk around you.
Yeah.
That'd be a wicked side hill right there. Wow! Complete rollover. And recovery. We're good.
Still moving.
Still moving. Back on our wheels. Driving over Ian's boot. Not getting any further.
That's it.
Need to hit it with less track spin.
Yeah.
Try to crawl it more than power through it. Back down trail. Get a little further every time. Not that time. These sudden bursts can be hard on your ESC as well. Yeah, we're not going to go too high. We high marked it. It's all good. You don't want to have an ESC meltdown. And you're crawling up through. Oh, power on, cut left, cut left. There you go. Getting deep. I don't know what the temperature is out right now. It's darn chilly. It is very chilly. 25 degrees. 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah, the snow looks sweet coming off those tracks.
Yeah, it does.
What do you think, Doug? Elwell there in Maine? What do you think, pal? Brushless system in the crawler, and it's not violent, man. You can actually crawl with it. There's creepy crawling. And they're stabbing it. You can hear those tracks howling. That's awesome. Try a VXL in your TRX4 Sport, Doug. Might dig it in the winter. Oh, I don't know. The gearing on your TRX4 Sport is different. Once again, Vaterra transmission gears are extremely low by comparison, just because of that extremely tall ring and pinion on the differential. And they compensated with the transmission, and we put the super low TRX4 axles on there, and now we have ultra low gearing. So yeah, it might not be the same in a TRX4 or the VXL compared to the Vaterra. Catching up to the Blazer. Passing the Blazer.
Oh, the snow it's throwing, it's wild.
Probably not catching this on camera, wherever it's at. Wherever I may roam.
Oh, this is bouncing out there.
That's what he said. And my mirror's laid back again. That's a good little run. Keep on trucking. I'll see if I can catch you if you just hold a straight line. I'll slow it down for the turn. Don't want to bury it up there. Right past you. Wide open. Seems like a slow down, eh? ESC might be getting warm. ESC is probably getting warm. That's stock Spectrum. Or Dynamite ESC at that point in time. That's an original Vaterra, so that was before the Spectrum takeover. It was Dynamite at that point in time.
Yep.
Just guess the tracks are just getting loaded down. And that powder. Here's somebody's snowmobile out in the background. You made it up the back, the edge of it. Would you climb up the side right here?
Yeah, I'll come up right here.
Oh, right there.
Climb up that way.
I like trying to go up this way. Powered up to the top. Whoa, I'm not gonna make it through that. That's a steep one. Wow, man, powerhouse. Digging it. Definitely digging it. He's like a Castle Mamba X. 5,000 kV or more. Maybe 6,000 kV, I don't know. Depends on the weight of the vehicle. We can't go any larger on our motor as far as diameter. We had to shoehorn this one in, so this is about the biggest motor that you can get for it. That you can fit into it at the moment anyway. Other than kV. 540s and kV. He's leaning to the driver's side. Oh, there he goes. Powering in.
Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah.
That's fun.
Definitely fun. Yeah, you're probably definitely digging the Vaterra today, eh?
Oh yeah.
Those tracks, you're down to dirt, man. I made it. And up you go. Nice. Crawl mode. I'll try to crawl this hill. If my patience will allow it. Having that much horsepower available. I have a hard time not using it. Oh yeah.
And now that we're down to dirt over there.
Yeah, now that we're down to dirt.
Oh.
You can walk right up it. Piece of cake. Frozen dirt though. Taking up the space. Taking up the top. Oh, I stuffed it. This front end just disappeared. Oof. Down it goes. Right over my track. That was perfect, man. Helped aid the turn.
Right.
Yeah, we missed it on camera. Ran right up over the back corner of the track like a ramp, perfectly. Keep going for that steep section. Just keep moving that snow further down the hill. Going around the outside, around the outside,
Yeah.
around the outside.
Oh, see the steeper right here.
Ah, there we go. Yeah, that's a steep drop off right there. That's almost like a vertical wall.
Oh!
That's almost like a vertical wall. Nice, nice recovery. Really just loaded with snow. Good thing you had your seatbelt on there, buddy.
Right.
That is steep.
You might take that a little better.
Yeah, well, I got a fan in here too, but whatever. It's all in the name of science, right?
Right.
I don't know if I want to just stab this or try to creep it. If we creep it, I know for sure we're going to slow roll. We're going to go into a slow roll. We're better off just trying to launch this thing, I think. Cold temperatures. Ah! Launching stuff. We still went over. Oh, I think I broke my steering servo.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we did something to the steering servo. Cold temperatures. We jumped a tooth on our servo horn. Okay, well, that's the end of that round for the moment because I don't have a hex wrench out here. Not bad. Relatively successful first run with the Vaterra K10 Ascender Track Edition VXL in the Vaterra K5 Blazer Track Edition. Definitely digging both trucks. VXL system, man, working out way better than I expected. That is for darn sure. I didn't know how well that was going to work out, but that 42 tooth pinion gear and 72 spur gear, not bad combo with the 3500 kV motor apparently. We could probably gear it down a little bit just to get a little bit more crawlability out of it. But it's a sensorless, brushless motor, so I don't know how much crawling you really want to do with that.
But yeah, not a bad run all in all. Definitely fun in the snow. Digging the VXL. Gonna have to put a metal servo horn on here to get past that little issue we just had there with our servo horn skipping a couple teeth. But otherwise, not bad. Fun run out the snow bowl. All right, boys and girls, that is going to do it on this run. Very much appreciated for y'all sticking around and watching the video. Hope you all enjoyed the video. As always, comments and questions are always welcome. And we will see you all on the next video. Thanks again.